Hello, and welcome to a microwavable episode of We Only Look Thin. I am your microwavable host, Catherine Weigel, and with me today is...
Microwavable Don!
Old.
Old. Old Don, who's oddly younger than young Don.
I don't really get Don. Hey, it's Don.
I don't know. Anyway,
sometimes when I used to call you at work when
It's Donald.
people had phones and be like, "Hi, I'd like to talk to Don, please," and they'd be like, "There's no one named Don who works here," and it's like, "No, like Don." Like, "No, there's nobody here," and it's like, "No, like Donald." "Oh, Don! I thought you were saying Dawn." Like the dawn and the Don and the Don. So I don't want people to think
darkest before the dawn.
the dawn.
Spelled D-O-N.
The dawn. So hi.
Hello.
This is We Only Look Thin. Did we say that?
Just as it... No, I don't think we did.
Hi.
This is We Only Look Thin. I've lost a little over 100 pounds.
And that was Don. Old.
Old Don.
He puts the emphasis on the last part.
Yeah.
And I'm Catherine Weigel, and I think today is my 2-year anniversary of maintaining my amazing, inspiring, and good-looking weight loss of 150 pounds.
Boobazilla sound.
I think
wow,
it is.
that is amazing.
2 years.
That is amazing and impressive.
I have never stayed the same weight for 2 years ever in my entire life until now.
I'm inspired. I would like to digress for a second and just a little disclaimer. Please do not put your podcasting device in the microwave.
Do not. It is not microwavable.
This is not actually microwavable, this episode. She was being funny, and you'll kind of get it later.
We're going to talk about microwaves.
A little later in this episode, we're going to be talking about something, and you'll be like, oh, I get it.
Oh, it's a callback.
That was super clever.
Speaking of callback.
Sorry, but congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you. We'll talk. I know we keep saying we're going to talk about maintenance and the experience of it, but yeah, it's been 2 years. It feels weird and good.
Well, I'm very proud of you.
And inspiring.
Oh my God.
So inspiring.
I'm inspired. I really am.
But so happy anniversary to me.
Happy anniversary to you.
We're taking you back. I know on the last episode, we gave you so many tips. Yeah, tipped over. It was like Jenga. It was like an avalanche of tips.
It was. And in fact, we gave away so many tips at such a low price that our accountant was like, "You're killing me, Larry."
Is Larry a national thing?
I don't know. There's a company
terrible.
There's a company called Sit and Sleep out here, and for years and years they had these like radio ads where the accountant at Sit and Sleep would go, "Your prices are so low, you're killing me,
but
Larry."
We actually crossed this Sit and Sleep the other day. I was like, "Do you sit and sleep? Because you don't sit and you sleep." But
no, they also sell chairs.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why
it's very helpful.
That's why it's sit and sleep.
Oh, here I was
they sell
thinking
recliners.
That it was a misnomer.
No, they sell recliners too.
It's a right nomer.
Yeah.
It's a nomer on the spot. Nobody's a nomer just on their own. So this week we're gonna give you a single size portion.
See, my joke was not only are we not named Larry, but we don't have an accountant either.
No, oh sorry, I forgot.
Sorry.
We do well anyway.
I had to get the whole joke out though. I was that guy.
Yeah.
Just now.
Tip of the week to you.
Tip of the week to you.
So we're gonna start with the tip. We're gonna talk about microwaves for some reason, and then we're gonna talk about.
If you listen to last week's episode and then this week's episode, it's like you're getting 7 tips back to back to back.
Oh, so many tips.
So many tips.
Oh, 7 wonders of the world. I wonder where we're going with all this.
I don't know. And then we're going to talk about putting things together.
Yes. Stacking them.
Yeah, like Legos.
Stacking them deep. Just like tips, but not
tips. It's the
tips.
Lego episode, kind of. And then we have a product of the week.
Pow!
Pow, everybody!
Wow, that came off big. I went big or I went home.
Yeah, you did.
So
You went big and are at home.
I am both. Except I'm smaller now because I've been maintaining for 2 years.
You're small and you went big and you're at home.
So we're going to start out with a tip of the week.
Tip of the week to you, darling.
Tip of the week to you. What is our tip of the week?
The tip of the week is to plan for injury and generally plan in general. Like one of the biggest keys to weight loss success for me has just been planning, always having a backup plan in place. And chances are you are going to get injured at some point or another, and you may not be able to do your chosen form of exercise. Catherine is smirking right now.
It sounds like it's some injury lawyer thing. You're going to get injured, and when you do, call Weigel and Weigel.
Call old Donald at 1-800-ambulance-chaser. So, my chosen form of exercise is typically walking or rebounding. So one form of this is when I can't walk outside, I have a rebounder. When the weather's bad, when it's raining, when we want to do it in the morning, when it's dark or too cold, we rebound. And so I need to have a backup exercise and plan in case I ever break my ankle or, pull something really bad enough that I can't actually walk. And so I have in mind that there are, I would switch to primarily arm exercises at that point and try and do my best to continue that. And the other thing to keep in mind is that never slack on the food, even when you can't do the exercise, because the evidence is that 70+% of weight loss and maintenance is the food, is what you're eating. It's what you're putting in your mouth. We say you can't outrun a fork, and that's true. And only a small portion of weight control for the typical person is the exercise itself. But maybe your backup plan is instead of, running, you swim. Instead of, riding your bicycle, you try rebounding.
Yeah. And I think too, whether it's injury or you're in a circumstance where you're visiting a relative in the hospital and you can't go for a walk, you can sit in a chair and do Fonzies. You can, just modify what you're doing and be sure if you're telling yourself, oh, I sprained my ankle and I can't do X, come up with, there are many other body parts that you can work out. So just modify as you need to, come up with a backup plan, come up with a minimum that you can do instead of focusing on the can't part. Cause I see a lot of people who get injured or they trip or they hurt their arm. And then they say oh, well, I can't go to my CrossFit gym this week. Just come up with something basic that you can do at home. Yeah, focus on stretching.
That all or nothing attitude. If they can't do their CrossFit, then they might as well not do anything. And they might as well just eat whatever they want. And then before you know it, they're not, even when they're healed, they're not back on their CrossFit plan and they're still eating whatever they want. And then they're me and they're up 100 pounds.
Yeah, just magically. It just happens overnight. Yeah. So come up with that, there is a best plan and then there is a make-do plan. And so having something as a backup can really help you, realize that you're not off track if you're in an airport for a day or you're traveling or something and you're stuck in a car. You can still do seated exercise or breathing techniques that can be helpful to you. And it's just a season of your life and you can get through it, but you've got to proactively look for alternatives.
Yeah, we recently heard about a guy who was, so heavy that he couldn't even get out of bed to do anything. And so his form of exercise was shaking.
Sort of tensing all of his muscles.
Tensing all of his muscles. And eventually he got to a point where he could get out of bed and do more than that and lost more weight. But, do what you can. Do the exercise where you are.
Yeah, if you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, clench your batouche.
Yes.
I don't know. Let's drop that.
I might have to cut that out.
Yeah, you might have to cut that out. No, but if you, don't focus on what you can't do. What can you do? Can you tense your arms? Can you do, seated arm exercises? Can you do stretches? Just focus on what you can do. And what you can do is your tip of the week.
Ciao, everybody.
Ciao, everybody.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about habit stacking and pairing.
Yeah. So last week we stacked deep some tips, and this week we're going to talk about habit stacking.
We stacked them deep and we sold them cheap.
We did. So we have talked about James Clear in his book Atomic Habits before, but this episode we're going to take a deep dive on adding habits into your life that you say you don't have time.
Yeah.
You don't have time. It's how are you going to fit it all in?
How am I going to do it?
How am I going to do it? Because we're all very busy. We have downtime. We have time when we're doing things. We're standing around doing nothing.
No one's busier than I am.
Nobody's busier.
That's what we all say to each other.
So we're going to talk about how to look at things that you're already doing in your life and how you can add beneficial habits to things that you're already doing in your life. Because actually, James Clear talks about people who make specific plans for when and where to do something are more likely to follow through. If you generically say, I really should have more water, but you don't have a plan in place to do it, it's not going to happen. If you don't
I really have to get back on my strength training, or I really have to get into prepping my meals.
I don't have time to do like a workout routine. That's, with my busy ragtag lifestyle, I cannot get it done.
Yeah, but we say all the time, I really should do this, or I really should do that.
Yeah, so he talks about implementation intention. That rolls off the tongue.
Implementation intention. Say that 20 times fast.
No behavior happens in isolation. So if you want to add something to your life, pairing it or stacking it on top of something that you're already doing can really help. And he actually calls it habit stacking. So
I want to buy those pickle stackers, those ones that are sliced thin lengthwise, so I can stack them on top of each other.
If you want a pickle,
back into the size of a normal pickle.
So he talks about coming up with a list of things that you do every day. And if you have a new habit that you want to put into your life, stacking that on top of a habit that's already in place can be very helpful. So can you list some things that you might do every day, Donald?
Park the car is something that I do pretty much every day.
Yeah, so you drive somewhere.
I drive somewhere. Yeah, so, my habit is every time I park the car, I try and find the space that's farthest away from the door so that I can get extra steps in.
Right. So you might brush your teeth every day. You might do laundry every day. You might do dishes every day. You
put something in the microwave every day.
Yeah, you make coffee every day. You got to stand around. You got to make coffee. You might make the bed every day.
Yeah.
Put on your socks and shoes every day. There's so many things you do every day, and finding things that you want to add to your life. So for example, if you make coffee every morning, finding something that you can pair with that. If you're waiting 3 minutes for the coffee to brew or 5 minutes for the coffee to brew, what small habit are you telling yourself you can't put in place that you actually can put in place?
Yeah, maybe it's, you get 100 steps while that's happening, or maybe it's, you do 2 push-ups. Maybe it's you do a few squats.
And it doesn't always have to be, so much of our lives is not just about the movement or the food that we get. But if you say like, oh, I don't have time to make a list of my, my healthy habits, you know what? I'm going to write my to-do list while the microwave is going, or I'm going to track my calories. I'm going to pre-track my calories while I'm waiting for the microwave.
I'm going to update my grocery list so that I don't forget to buy, all of the foods that are within my plan that I want to get when I get to the store.
Yeah. So he says, have a habit that you do every day. You make the bed. What could you pair with that? So pair the current habit with the habit that you want to have in place. If it's not something that you do every day, if you only do laundry once every 2 weeks, that's not a daily habit that you want to get in place. But for example, if you want to, if you're not flossing and you want to add that to your day, floss your teeth every time you go to the restroom. Just do it. And then it happens. Or drink a glass of water every time, after you've gone to the restroom.
And I've talked about this before, but speaking of going to the restroom, when I'm at work and I'm in my office building, I always walk upstairs to the 4th floor to use the men's room that's up there, even though there's one on the floor that I'm on. And that ensures that I'm having to walk up the stairs. And then on those occasions when I'm on set, I make it a point to take the longest route to the restroom that I can find. I think about what the shortest route is, the shortest distance is a straight line between 2 points, and I take the longest distance intentionally. I have to go anyway, and, people see me walking around, and it looks like I'm busy, but I'm actually just taking an extra long route to get to the restroom. And even at home, we have one restroom that's closer and another bathroom that's farther away. I always make a point of taking, to the living room and to the kitchen. I always make a point of going to the farther one. And something I was thinking about doing is pairing that with, or habit stacking that with, every time I go, then I have to go walk up and down the stairs in our building 2 times, which I haven't done yet, but I'm thinking about starting.
Well, and the one habit is a cue for the next. So, for example, if you're really bad at taking your vitamins or your medication, putting it next to the coffee maker in the morning will make it so that, coffee equals taking my medication, which I actually do because I used to be bad at that. Using the microwave means doing 10 squats while I'm waiting to use the microwave. Being in an elevator means I do arm exercises. If nobody else is in the elevator, I don't want to like windmill somebody in the face. But finding ways, those moments of, and we're not saying fill every waking moment of your life with a habit, but for those downtimes when you're idle and you think, oh gosh, I don't have time to get something done. Like you could chop an apple while you're waiting for the coffee maker to go. You could pre-track your day's calories while you're waiting for the kids to get ready for school if you have a couple of down minutes. Like there are ways to add active time if you're usually scrolling through the social medias. Instead of that, you could be doing something productive, because we all say like, oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to weigh my vegetables or my lunch. I don't have time to track. I don't have time to do my daily gratitude. And we have a lot of downtime in actions that we're already doing.
And people are always asking like, how do you get as many steps as you get? And speaking of microwaves, every time I'm waiting for something in the microwave, I do laps. I'll do laps around the office, the room I'm in, or if I'm at home, I use the rebounder, while the microwave's going, and it increases my steps, for something I was going to do anyway.
Yeah. So, for example, if you use the restroom, I think most people use the restroom.
Most people do these days.
I don't have the numbers. I don't have the specific data on that with the current census. But track if you're someone who says you don't have time to track your calories while you're using the restroom. If you watch Netflix daily, walk in place while you're watching Netflix or use your rebounder.
Yeah.
When you use the microwave, do a couple of squats. Like I said, when you're driving to work, and this is something that I do, if I'm driving somewhere, I'll call a relative to, instead of just listening to the radio, I'll make it an active time where I'm getting something off the list, because I'm not very good at sitting and talking on the phone when I'm at home. I feel like I need to be doing more things. So use your car time to listen to a helpful podcast or call a relative.
Helpful podcast.
If you know of any helpful podcasts.
If you're somebody who goes to movies frequently, while you're waiting for the movie to start, while you're waiting for the trailers to start, you can make a shopping list. You can plan upcoming meals. You can track calories. Make use of that time before the movie starts.
Yeah. Whenever, or if you check the mail 6 days a week, pair that with drinking a glass of water or preparing a vegetable for your evening meal. There are so many things that and I know I've said this, we just don't think we have time to get it done. But if one acts as a cue for the other, it can be really helpful. The opposite, Donald had a sort of an opposite reverso for that.
Yeah, it's sort of, I call it the reverse habit stacking almost. It's kind of like every time I watch TV, I also have to be rebounding. So let's say you've got a day where you really want to get a lot of stuff done, but it's not even a work day. And you make your to-do list and you say to yourself, okay, if I'm going to take a break and watch some TV, or I'm going to take a break and look at Facebook on my phone, I have to also be on the rebounder at the same time. Or, there's a podcast called We Only Look Thin that I really want to listen to, but
inspiration.
But I have to be doing the dishes while I'm listening to it.
That's a big one.
Or I have to be walking up and down the stairs and getting steps and floors while I'm listening to it. Maybe it will actually even encourage you to get those things done. Let's say you have, housework to do, vacuuming, dishes, that kind of thing. And that while you're doing that, you'll also get to listen to your podcast or your audiobook or whatever it is. It may be encouragement to get those things done.
Yeah. And for me, we want to self-soothe with food quite often. I know I do.
All the time.
That's what this whole podcast is about.
That's what got me where I was.
But the idea of we've talked in a previous episode about eating the frog first, doing the hard thing, and that ties into doing the hard thing and then waiting for the reward after that. So for example, I'll have my morning cup of coffee after I make that tough morning call. I'll have my refreshing LaCroix beverage after I do my 3 flights of stairs.
Yeah, I always try and eat, and I actually like vegetables, but I try and eat my vegetables before I have the more, the tastier food that's in my dinner. Or I make sure that I finish my dinner before I have my dessert, which is, a thing that we tell kids from the beginning, but get the harder thing over first.
Yeah. Or if you already are doing your morning workout and like for us, we do our morning workout every day. It's not really a big deal. But if you have something indulgent that you like to do, like looking at Tumblr or reading a tabloid magazine, do it after your workout as kind of your little reward.
Yeah.
Once this is done, then I'll get this done.
Create a Pavlovian response in yourself that that as soon as your workout's over, you get to do something pleasurable. And even within my workout, I try and do the harder things at the beginning.
I hate doing this one arm exercise, and it's great for me, and the results are fantastic, which is why I keep doing it. But I always do it first because I want the rest of it to be easy.
Yeah, I try and order the things so that the hardest part's at the beginning, and I know, like, as I do each thing, it's getting easier and easier as I go, and I'm more likely to keep going and finish that way.
Yeah. So going back to the beginning, make a list of things that you do every day. I make the bed. I brush my teeth. I drive to work. I microwave my lunch. I drive home from work. Whatever it is, make a list of just your day-to-day activities. And then make a list of just a few things. It doesn't have to be every single second, but make a list of a few things that you want to add to your life. I don't have time to work out. Okay, well, what 2-minute workout could I do? What 2-minute exercise could I do? And then start pairing them. Start tying the two events together, things that you're already doing with something that you want to add to your life.
And one more thing I wanted to mention that I forgot before is I see people in our neighborhood all the time who they have dogs. We don't have a dog, but I see people who have dogs, and they live in apartments around here, and they take the dog out into the front yard, and they sit on their phone and they watch, they're messing around on their phone and just hold in one place the dog on the leash, and the dog kind of sniffs around and does its business, and then they go back inside. And they're missing an opportunity to pair that with walking around and actually getting some exercise as they do it.
Yeah. So think about ways to add small activity into your life, more accountability into your life. It really does pay off. And having that cue or that trigger to tie in, like, oh, every time I make the bed, I set out my workout clothes. After I brush my teeth, then I set out my workout clothes, with my shoes next to the door. That way we like often forget, like, oh gosh,
yeah,
I forgot to put that out, or I don't have time in the morning to get it done. So what time makes sense to do something? When do you have those free moments to actively plan your next day? Make it happen by habit stacking. Habit stacking.
Wow, that was really good.
Thanks.
Make it happen by habit stacking.
Habit stacking.
Yeah, I can't say it like you did.
I don't know why it came out like that. So,
but
and
I'm happy it did.
You can stack multiple habits upon one another. I use the microwave. I do my squats. After I do my squats, then I make my coffee. While my coffee is being brewed, then I take my vitamins. And once you start building sort of a roadmap for your day and linking them all together, suddenly the job is done. I don't know. I think Mary Poppins has some song about snap your fingers and the job is done. If you know anything about Mary Poppins,
yeah, for
let
sure.
us know. Without a spoonful of sugar. So those are the ideas of the habit stacking, but there's also other things, aren't there?
And it's kind of an extension. I feel like these are first cousins of one another, and we've talked about before on this show, but is also pairing. And pairing is the idea that you have an occasional behavior that you're going to do anyway, and you pair that with a treat. if you're somebody who eats far too many bagels, for example, or
why are you looking at me?
or donuts or muffins or something, you say to yourself, all right, I'm not going to cut those things out of my life entirely, but what I will do is I will only have the bagel when I have a haircut, because presumably you don't have a haircut, 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, well, and we've talked too about not bringing the devil home with you. And I still see a lot of people who say, like, how do I don't want to give up alcohol. What do I do?
Yeah.
I don't want to give up soda. What do I do? I love pizza. I'm not going to do this without having pizza or
Right.
ice cream. And they feel like it's a black and white situation, when really pairing an occasional, part of your life with an occasional indulgence keeps it part of your life without having it to be a reward or without having to deserve it. And I know I've talked about it before. I actually did it yesterday. When I get my haircut, I have a single bagel in public where other people can see me, not hiding in a car eating 13 bagels before I get to work.
That's a baker's dozen,
That's
everybody.
a baker's dozen. So if you love having your Frappuccino, if you love having a cocktail or soda or a muffin or fast food or something like that, pairing it with an occasional life event. And we have a bunch of occasional life events that we're going to list for you.
Yeah, we've already mentioned haircut. There's also an oil change, or going to the dentist.
Or when you buy new running shoes or new insoles for your shoes.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I actually have those 2 things on my calendar to do periodically.
And there's also like when your favorite TV show premieres or when it ends.
Yeah, the season premiere or the season finale, or when the time changes, whenever
That's a
there's
good one.
you spring forward or fall back.
Or if you're having trouble, this ties back to habit stacking. If you, whenever you finish a book, maybe you're a slow reader like me, and it
that's
takes
a really
like
good
a
one I hadn't
month
thought
to
of.
finish a book. You get your Frappuccino once you finish the book.
And I'm stealing this one from Catherine, but I feel like it's my turn to talk. And pick a minor holiday if you don't have anything else, but you want something that's just, that you indulge in maybe once a year or twice a year. Pick Arbor Day and St. Patrick's Day, or pick Veterans Day and Memorial Day. That might be bad choices, but
See, I was going to say Friday the 13th. That happens kind of randomly. The next one doesn't actually happen until September.
Or if there's something you only want to do once every 4 years, you pick Leap Day.
Leap Day. But anytime you get, you file your quarterly taxes.
Oh, yeah.
When you go to open house at your kid's school. When you pay the rent. When you change your Brita filter.
It just occurs to me now that maybe we should pair something with our yearly taxes, and it might motivate me to get them done earlier in the year
actually a really good
than
idea.
waiting until late March to get them done.
That's a good idea. Anytime you buy a new big bottle of detergent at Target, it can be something small. Every time, if you're like us, we have a coin jar. It takes us, I don't know how many months to fill the coin jar with coins. When you go to Coinstar, that's when you get the milkshake at your favorite milkshake establishment.
Now, you have to be careful not to have that milkshake every single time that you do all of these things.
Right.
Before you know it, you're like, National Kazoo Day. I'm having a milkshake.
There is literally a day for every. There are 365 days.
There are only 365 days. There are probably 2 or 3, national whatever days every single one of those days. So be careful not to, that you really have to make it, it's only every few months that you do whatever this treat is. If it's something that you really, that's really a problem for you.
Yeah, so every time you run out of toner is when you get a Coca-Cola at the store.
Yeah.
Make it something that's special and occasional. It keeps it in your life without having to feel like you deserve it. And it lets it be a part of your life and something to look forward to. And that's literally why I cut my hair. I'd look like Rapunzel right now if it...
But it takes the decision-making out of your life. Like, you can't be like, oh, should I have a bagel today? The answer is always no, unless it's haircut day.
Well, and I do that a lot where I am like, do I deserve this? I had a bad day yesterday. And I actually struggled with that yesterday because we were going out to a pre-planned lunch, but it was also my haircut day.
Yeah.
And that's when I get my bagel. And so I actually had a good day yesterday. I had the bagel in the morning. It was just the one. And then we went out to lunch. But having it as just the two are tied together, bagel equals haircut, oil change equals milkshake. It just makes life a little bit easier. And it's not at home. It's not bringing the danger into the house.
Yeah.
It's making it a part of my life. So Gretchen Rubin talks a lot about pairing. So if you want to Google up Gretchen Rubin.
Our good friend Gretchen.
Our good friend Gretchen. She doesn't know it, but we know it.
All right. You feel good?
Yeah, I feel good.
All right. I think it's time to move on to our product of the week.
Pow!
Pow, everybody.
Pow! If you're in a hemisphere, the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, you might notice the sun in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
Up to and including 12 hours a day.
I have noticed the sun. I must be in a hemisphere.
You must be.
Yeah.
You never really think about it, do you?
I don't think about
it.
it.
You take it for granted.
Yeah, I take for granted that I'm in a hemisphere. I didn't really.
I wonder what people think our product of the week is.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you now. Product of the week is it's a tip and a product. Wear a sun hat.
Yeah. Get yourself a good sun hat.
Get yourself a good sun
hat. Which in my case is a baseball cap, or several of them.
Yeah. I bought at Costco the other day a $14 sun hat with a little
string
tied to it
it's
to tie
delightful.
under my.
It looks great on you.
It's jaunty.
She's actually wearing it in her Facebook profile pic as we record
now. But I do a lot of walking now. I'm a walking person. Walk our daughter to and from school, much to her chagrin.
I often say you enjoy steps.
I do enjoy steps, but I do not enjoy melanoma.
No.
That is what I don't enjoy.
No.
I'm
not a fan.
Wear a hat. I like having more of a 10-gallon hat situation where it has a rim on all sides so that it doesn't burn my neck. I know baseball hats don't do that, but honestly, all joking aside, wear a hat. You don't want to get a sunburn. You want to keep your complexion intact. You don't want to end up regretting it and have leathery skin.
No. Or worse, cancer.
Yeah. And I don't know if I actually talked about this on the fashion episode, but I don't wear sunglasses typically.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason...
No, I don't either.
Well, but the reason that I do not wear sunglasses is because I have beautiful azure blue eyeballs.
Really?
I do.
That's the reason?
Oh, they're like laser beams. No, but when I was overweight, which was basically 1974 until now, people would comment. They would say, up to and including, you have azure blue eyeballs. And I wouldn't wear sunglasses because I thought it was my best feature. And so I didn't wear sunglasses because I wanted people to know that I had beautiful blue eyes. Even if I was 250 pounds, they had something nice to look at.
I don't wear sunglasses because I don't enjoy looking at the world through the tint. It messes with my brain.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a weirdo because nearly everyone on the face of the earth seems to enjoy wearing sunglasses. Like, I have friends who cannot go outside without sunglasses on.
Well, and it is a good thing, and it is good for eyes. I definitely have some crow's feet because I'm squinting a lot because I don't, but the hat definitely keeps the sun out of my
I relented
eyes.
when I got my last pair of regular glasses and got the UV protection on it because my optometrist was like, yeah, you need to do something if you're not wearing sunglasses. So.
Yeah, so just sun protection, sunglasses, a hat, a baseball hat. Just practice some safety.
Yeah, if you're going to be outside walking and doing your exercise, then watch the sun, everybody.
Yeah, and get that little strap under your chin, too. I feel a little dorky wearing it, but look maybe a little bit like the flying nun with the wind so it doesn't blow away. But what are you going to do? Wear a hat.
And that's your product of the week.
Pow!
Pow, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. We truly appreciate every single one of you. We love hearing from you. We love the reviews. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes. And I would actually suggest that you pair that you habit stack every single time that you have to send an email to anyone for any reason. You also send them an email recommending our podcast.
That, just put it in the footer.
Yeah.
Just put us as the footer.
Or a separate email, like however works best for you.
Just people evangelizing door to door.
Anytime you have to send an email for any reason, or anytime you have to post anything to either Facebook or Instagram or Twitter for any reason, you also post recommending our podcast.
Have you accepted Donald and Catherine as your personal inspirations?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a little much. I don't know about that,
but you can find us at weonlylookthin.com.
Yeah, and we've gotten a couple of notes on our website that actually went into a weird spam folder.
Yeah.
And so if you have sent us a message and we haven't responded, the dog ate our email. So
yeah, we will reply shortly. We've been having some issues with that, but you can reach us weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
You can find us on the Instagrams and the Facebooks
and the Twitters
at We Only Look Thin. Where else can they find us? I think we just told those them everywhere.
I think we covered it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for listening to this.
Yeah, we do appreciate every one of you.
This inspiring, blue-eyed episode of We Only Look Thin. And remember, if you don't know the difference between a stack of pancakes and a stack of habits, just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration agent.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.